Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today's video is about starting an edible landscape, food forest, anything along that line. And one of the things I'm trying to do in my 2 acres is really create an edible landscape. Today I want to talk about blueberries. There's blackberries back there, raspberries. These are all inside my garden. We'll come back to here. But I want to give you a tour of the 2 acres, looking at apple trees, strawberries, vine crops, and how I've integrated them into the landscape. Let's start with the trees I put in last year, the fruit trees. This is the front of my house. Inside the fence I have fruit trees, berries, other things. We'll go in there in a second. Here's a front area of 5 different fruit trees. Now, let's just talk about purchasing. This tree is about 1.5 years old. It's 3 to 4 feet high. It's a peach tree. It's a contender peach, which I highly recommend, and you can see some peaches on there. I got these at Home Depot. Your fruit trees are going to cost somewhere between $40 and $80. They're pretty reasonable there, and what I recommend is getting trees from your local nursery or from there with a root ball on it, rather than buying online and getting a bare root tree. These just seem to do better. For instance, this is some cherry trees. Apologize for all the noise, but one of the things I'm doing is I'm putting the fruit trees here to screen this road. So when I'm sitting in my property, I'll see the cars going by less. It'll absorb some of the sound, but it can be noisy here. So this tree now is a good, I just wanted to take a minute and cut in, because as I was editing I realized I wasn't clear. So the trees that are here were about 3 or 4 years old when I purchased them, and that's how they kind of designate them. You have 1 to 2 year old trees, 2 to 3 year old trees, 3 to 4 year old trees. And the trees that I bought were about 4 or 5 feet tall. During the video I talk about them being 1.5 years old. That's how long they've been on my property. So again, just wanted to clarify that. Almost 10 feet tall. It was 5 to 6 feet tall when I bought it. Home Depot, it was $44. They're doing really well. Nothing fancy. You just dig the hole, loosen up the area, put them in. I have cages around them to protect them from the deer. Deer will come in and certainly chew down the branches, but on thinner trees they sometimes like to lay on them, and that can be a problem. So if you can, you want to get 3-4 foot tall trees. Really, if you can get something that's 4 or 5 feet, that will really make a difference in that they'll establish, they'll grow, and 2nd year, 3rd year, you should be getting a lot of fruit. So some plums in front of us, cherry tree right here to my left, cherry tree over there. Out of 5 trees that I put in, there was another cherry in this space, but it died, so I lost 2 trees actually out of about 14 or 15. 1 almond, 1 cherry. Distancing is all going to vary based on what you buy. It'll say right on the tag of the plant, of the tree, of what you need to, how you have to space them out. You can get dwarf varieties, less spacing. You can pack in more trees, get more fruit. And it'll also tell you if the tree is self-pollinating or if it needs a pollinator. So these plums do need pollinators. The leaves are beautiful. I'm still learning about spraying. These are going to get sprayed with an antifungal and some sort of insecticide. I'm still deciding which one to use. Probably horticultural oil or something along those lines. But they've just had tremendous growth. I'm 6 feet tall, which comes to about here, and they've just grown several feet over 1 year. So I highly recommend bringing fruit trees into your landscape rather than shade trees or ornamental trees. So it'll be 5 trees right here, a little mini orchard. Okay, let's go inside the property. Well, inside the fence line. So actually, let's start here for the trees. These are 2 pear trees. One of them is a dwarf pear. They do need a pollinator, so when you need a pollinating tree, or when you have a tree that needs a pollinator, you want to plant 2 within pretty close proximity so that the pollinators can move pollen back and forth between the trees. And you can see some pears starting. This may not be a huge production this year, but really in the 2nd, 3rd year, you really start seeing production. This is a Bartlett Pear, I believe. And I got fruit off of this right from the beginning last year. And again, this is working its way up to 10 feet. It was about this tall when I got it. So they do really well out of out of a nursery with a root ball. And a root ball, in case you're wondering what that means that it's in a black pot. It has the root system in there, it has soil in there. It's not just a bare root, which you might get from nurseries. They look like they're a good deal, they're cheaper, but I find them a little bit harder to establish. Right in the front here is a dwarf peach tree. This one's struggling a little bit, but it is loaded with new peaches. This is a second year. And over here is another contender, which really grew. It is loaded with peaches. I like this one so much that I bought a second one. And, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know, there's like 30 or 40 peaches on here. Last year I got at least a dozen peaches off of a first year tree. So now in this space, across there you can see the orchard, I have 9 fruit trees. Let's go over to the strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. So this is one area that's struggling a little bit. We'll go over to an area that is doing much better. And the reason being is that it was just too much water here. Those are strawberry plants. This was completely planted with strawberries. And instead of using ivy, why not use strawberries? You'll get the fruit. Some of the fruits come in June. Some of them bear over the season. The problem with this area is that I had to dig a place for the water from the house to run off. And that's about 3 feet, 4 feet deep, filled with rocks. Too much water fills in here. The pipe that actually took it out past the driveway and out there broke. The house is old. It's an 1867 farmhouse. So the water collects in here. Those are raspberries, the taller plants right there. I had more of them. And you'll see when we move over to here how much better the raspberries and strawberries did. I think I may drop cranberries in here. So you do want to match the different fruits or the edible plants to what they need. So here we have, away from all that water, 4 different varieties of strawberries, and you can just see they've taken in and filled in this entire space, and it's going to be a great harvest. I'm not protecting these from rabbits. Rabbits can come in through my fence. I am protecting the blueberries, so instead of doing bushes that are just ornamental, I did blueberry bushes. And blueberries are other types of plants that often need other varieties of blueberries to pollinate. You'll get more berries, plumper berries, if you do that. And they are covered or surrounded by just some basic wire to keep the rabbits from coming in and eating them down. These are second year plants. I buy these in the gallon containers. I think it's worth it. And you can buy these at the end of the season, and as the summer comes to an end, plant them in the fall, and sometimes they're 50% off. But there's 4, let's see, 1, 2, 3. There are 5 blueberry plants in there. Strawberries, and this will just be one edible area. Now, this is part of the garden I haven't even gotten to yet this year. I'm going to clean out all this area. It'll be a tomato garden. Do have some radishes in there. But this is how I'm saving money. I planted strawberries in a 4x4 foot raised bed last spring. These will be left here till they fruit, and then I'm going to divide them up and put them throughout my yard. So you can save money by planting an area, let the runners go. I mean, they're going crazy. They've come out here, they're going under the fence. We're going to walk over that front part of the fence in a second. I have some more stuff growing in there. These are raspberry plants doing the same thing. I'll let this kind of be wild, let them establish, let them spread, and then I'll move them throughout my yard to all different areas. And again, up here, even more strawberries. So I will be getting, I guess we would say, a nice strawberry crop this year. Okay, let's go to some other areas. So this is the back area of my yard, and there are 3 apple trees in here, all spaced out, just based on what's on the label. Some of these need pollinators, so 3 apple trees in this space. I'm also turning this into a place for pollinators. It brought in so many butterflies and pollinating insects last year. It was wonderful, and it's established nicely. Everything is coming back. I plant with a lot of perennials. This is a sand cherry. Not a lot of fruit off of it, but you will get some off of it. I like the color. I wanted to mix it in there. Here's something interesting. This is an artichoke. Artichokes are often perennials. You can put them in for landscaping, but you can also eat them. And again, 3 apple trees mixed into this space, and this is a place that's going to get fixed up over the next couple of weeks. and it should be in full production pretty soon. And again, this tree was maybe 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall, and it's starting to reach up to 10 feet after 1 year worth of growth. I have to learn how to prune. For the first 2 years, I'm just kind of letting them go and learning about spraying and managing stuff like that. All the way across towards the back of my property, you can see that single green tree in there. That's almost doubled in size. I think that's a Hall's Hardy almond, self-pollinating, so you can grow nut trees here in Maryland Zone 7. This is one that I just added. It was on sale. It was $34. This is about the size of where those trees were. Again, I'm 6 feet tall, and this is just coming up to my chin here. But all that growth on the other plants came after 1 year, and this is loaded with nectarines. It's self-pollinating. It's a dwarf tree. I put it here, even though the sun's going to be where the camera is. It's not going to get very tall, and it's not going to shade off my garden, but now I have another place where I can gather fruit. One more area. Raised beds around here have different things in there, nothing too fancy. This is a mix of flowers and herbs, all that beautiful kind of purpley pink flowering. That's thyme. You can use oregano thyme spaced throughout your garden as, you know, a decorative plant, and you can also use it. The trees right in there, those are goji berries. I can't tell if they got beat up by this crazy freeze we had or if they have some sort of disease. We'll see if they work. But these get to be tree size, so they're going to be pruned to stay just a little bit above the fence. But you can work in different types of trees, different types of berries as, you know, really your decorative plants. They don't just have to be leafy plants. Columbines, lots of daisies. Those are white daisies. Purple coneflower. And this is a grape. A seedless grape that did get beat up from the frost, but you can see that it's establishing and it's growing in a whiskey barrel. So you can mix these different things, different types of plants together, have an edible landscape. So this is the other side of my front yard, and coming up here, that's an apricot tree. Maybe a Mormon, I'm not sure. But I did not protect it. I put it in at the end of last year. It was on sale. Didn't put the wire cage around it, and those are deer prints right there. And you can see that the deer came in and just stripped off all the lower leaves, chewed down the branches. So you do have to, you know, pay attention and protect your plants from the deer. Let's see what this is. Yeah, it's a Mormon Chinese apricot. Those are hollies, a birch tree, but I'm doing more fruit trees over here, or bushes. Those are 2 kiwis. I believe, I have it written down, but I put in a couple different kinds of mulberries. If this was not protected, it would be gone. This cage has to be widened, so I'll make it as wide as this area. And just a tip, if you are killing out grass, you don't have to use the grass killers. You can use restaurant grade white vinegar. It's a higher percentage. I forget what it is, but it's over 10% vinegar, more acidic. Just spray that down a couple of times. That will kill out the plants. The kiwis, and then there were 4 fig trees in there again to produce fruit, but also block off the road. One of them died. That will have to be replaced, but all 3 of those are coming back strong. So you get the idea of how you can integrate edible plants into your landscape. Let's go back to the garden. So this is where we have our fires. Entertain. The space back there is all going to be cleared out over the next year, and we'll put something in there. Leave up the holly trees and a couple other better trees there. But here is the garden. We'll go right back to these blackberries and blueberries in a second. I want to show you an apple tree that I just bought and put in. So it gives you a sense. These are 8-foot posts in the garden here. That's another apple tree. It was $44. Got that at Home Depot. It's put in there because all of my sun is over here, so the shades get cast away. But I think that will look really nice overhanging the garden in a couple of years. These are, you know what, I just forgot the name of them. They're like grapes, but I have grapes. These types of plants, that'll come back to me hopefully. Hate getting old. But you can just grow them along your fence. They'll produce fruit. And you can, you know, expand what you can eat out of your garden. That's another type of fig tree. I have their hardy Chicagos up front, and the temperatures here can get down to 0 degrees. The hardy Chicago figs handle that. Most other figs don't, but I'm giving an experiment with this fig here. Those are all blackberry plants that I brought from my old garden. Bottom left, that little thing down there is a red currant plant, and they're doing really well. So I also have fruit trees inside the fence line, protect them from rabbits and deer and stuff like that. These are hop vines all along here, and mixed all along next to those brown containers. Those are peas, but I have maybe, I don't know, 15 or 20 blueberry plants, probably 4 or 5 different varieties. They're all doing extremely well. They produce at different times. You have early, middle, and late producing blueberry plants, so I recommend mixing them up. So I'll get some, you know, in the next couple of weeks, some midsummer, some maybe a little bit later. But this is just a great way to really incorporate fruit plants, trees, bushes, vines into your landscape. You don't need 2 acres like I have. You could do 2 fruit trees, a couple blueberries, but just swap out where you might put ornamental plants, put in something that bears a fruit or flower or leaf that you can eat. Thanks for watching. Hope it gives you some ideas of how you can build your own edible landscape or add to your food forest. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.